You're standing in the most conservative congressional district in the most conservative state in America, right here. And I mean, this is my time.
Yeah, this is our chance. And if
Super Tuesday turns out that Bernie doesn't get the grassroots, then I'm with you. I mean, we got to keep it moving.
Okay.
So this rally here today is one of 70 marches across the country today. We are not alone here today. There was a National Day of Marches for Bernie on January 27th, and then today, a month later, there's 70 marches like this happening around the country. Tell me, does it feel good to be part of the Bernie revolution? This campaign, we are showing that it is possible to fight corporate power. It is possible to run for office without corporate money and to mount a serious challenge. So this campaign and our campaign in Seattle are showing that it is possible to fight corporate power. It is possible to stand up and fight for our interests.
I think what's happening in this country is that all the divisions that we've been told by the corporate media, by the talking head pundits that say North and South is divided, there's all these divisions in this country. What's happening is people are throwing those out the window and saying what the real dividing line in this nation is the corporations, Wall Street, and the political establishment who've monopolized power in their own narrow, greedy interests, and the rest of us, the 99% who've been tossed aside, who've had our wealth increasingly stolen from us over the last 30 years, and who are now facing a situation where we're deep in debt. We have to have 2 jobs just to get by, many of us, and there's no future unless, my friends, unless we decide to fight back. And I think that's what is underlying this campaign, is that millions of people in this country have decided we cannot trust the traditional politicians. We cannot trust the political establishment. That the only way things will change in this country is if we get organized and if we start to fight back. And I think that's the most powerful thing about Bernie's message. Woo! Is we need fighters in the electoral arena and in our communities who are going to be honest, who are going to stand up for ordinary people, and who are going to say no to big business attempts to bribe them, because they know the only way they're going to rise or fall is with the power of the people standing up, getting organized, and fighting back. And that's what I think this campaign represents at its core. Even though we've been pushed back for 30 years, that working people's living standards have been driven down, the gains of the women's rights movements, the civil rights movements, the environmental movement has been pushed backwards, people are fed up and have had enough. But we have to realize it's a rigged system. What the movement behind Bernie has to say is this movement has to continue. We've shown it is possible to stand up to big business and to win. We showed that in Seattle, and we're showing that here. Even if Bernie doesn't pull off an upset victory against Clinton, what we're saying is we have to continue the political revolution. That means we need to get organized and build our own force.
Alabama cannot survive on 725. Do you think things are different now between the way it was 30 or 40 years ago and today? Yes. Education today results in more student debt, but not more opportunities. We're the most well-educated generation in American history, and yet we make less than we did 30 years ago. The CEO of Walmart makes in 1 hour what the average worker at Walmart makes in 1 year. If that doesn't make your blood boil, then I don't know what else will. The United States, and in Alabama specifically, we give millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars in taxpayer money to subsidize big corporations to come into our states, to not provide any jobs to the people that live in our states, but to run toxic pipelines and hold coal terminals right on the coast of downtown. Mind you, most of these places are run deliberately through low-income minority communities because they think that there's not going to be any fight back from that. Because they think that they can just run a pipeline like they did in Pritchard, Alabama, right next door, within 5 feet of the fence on the border of a kindergarten full of tar sands, and that's okay. And our legislator pays them our tax money to come and do that. Why don't we give that money in subsidies to small businesses that can pay a living wage? Birmingham made the bold move to raise their minimum wage to $10.10 an hour, which is not quite a living wage, but it's damn better than $7.25. So what happened in the first time in perhaps Alabama history? the Alabama legislature was able to pass a bill in 1 week. And that bill that was drafted in the House, passed through the House, sent to the Senate, passed through the Senate, and signed within 2 hours of being passed through the Senate by the governor, Bentley, was to prevent every city and county in Alabama from being able to change their own minimum wage. That it has to be dictated from the Capitol whether or not a minimum wage can be changed. So much for small government, right?
If we say no to corporate greed, we can afford what we need. We can afford what we need.
Tell us your story about you being a volunteer for the Bernie Sanders campaign.
I signed up to be a volunteer for the Bernie Sanders campaign in the first hour after he announced his candidacy in May. I gave my first campaign donation of the entire 39 years of my life in May. And on the first day of school in August, I started the South Alabama Students for Bernie Sanders Club. We are now 70 South Alabama student members strong and 140 plus, more like 160 after today, friends plus email strong. We're gonna phone bank tomorrow to get out the vote, and we feel the burn.